to me, it's like my view of my work is that it's revealing of myself. And I wrote a paper about this, that I think that you choose things that are revealing of myself. No one else can do the work I do because no one else is me. And at the end of the day, my work says something deeply personal about me. And I'm going to be able to wrap my articles up in a bow and hand it to my daughter, and she'll know something about me. And that's
Hmm.
all I care about. And so, who's cited more than me or who's published more than me? I have a body of work, for better or for worse. People have done more than me. People are cited more than me. People have certainly are making more than me, but I couldn't be anything other than me. And so I have let go of, you have to let go of this idea that if only I could have done a meta-analysis on leadership and trust, I'd have 15,000 citations. I would also be bored to tears. It would mean nothing to me. That's not, with all due respect to people who do that, there's probably is a meta-analysis, and that's great. That means
Yeah,
something to you,
I'm
right?
sure
But
there is.
but I
And
feel like I've always stayed aware of where I come from and what motivates my work personally. And I have sought out people who I get the sense are also doing work that means something to them. And I try to be helpful and I say nice things about people. And I feel like I attract co-authors and friends into my life who are similar, and they're my little collection of friends. And again, I don't have a lot of them. I'm not the belle of the ball. I don't go to academy, and I don't care.
yeah.
I'm enjoying my career and I'm enjoying my life, and it is what it is.
Hmm. So tell me about the sort of nakedness of research, and what do I mean by that? This idea, and it's probably ironic because you're one of the only people that are probably very open about this. Is like the fact that the research that you're actually doing is very descriptive of who you are, and going into you know some all of the warts, right? So the way that I've sort of figured this out in the last few years, I used to view myself in terms of strengths and weaknesses, which I hate now. I don't even like that terminology because it's just traits, right? We ascribe the whether it's negative or positive in our mind, or because somebody has told us that many years ago that this thing is inappropriate. Um, so how do you deal with that sort of openness that everybody can see your dirty laundry, I guess, your
Well,
personal thoughts?
but aside from you and your 100,000 followers, I don't think anyone reads and thinks that I'm exercising my demons or I'm recreating childhood traumas or anything like that. Um, I think a lot of people, whether they care to admit to or not, are influenced by who they are and what their experiences are. I think we should all just admit where it comes from. Um, but I do, like, I wrote about, I was inspired to write a paper with one of my students, Josh Katz, about how the creative act is self-disclosing. That when you share a creative idea, it's not a random number generator. It comes from who you are. And I think what that does is it makes the rejection process somewhat more difficult because it's not just a dry idea you had. It's something that you have shared a piece of yourself. And now, so how do I deal with that? Not well all the time. I mean, I think early on in your career, early on, one time I remember I called my mom, I forwarded my mom an email and said, "This is a rejection letter. I need you to read it to me because I can't." So I've had all kinds of, I mean, I had a paper that took 9 years to publish. It was rejected from 6 journals. Um, but again, I think that I've always had the sense that just because everyone else thinks it doesn't mean that they're right.
Yeah.
And if I believe that I'm onto something that feels truthful to me, the chances are if I persist, it's going to connect with someone else for whom what I'm saying feels truthful to them too. And so I think it's a matter um, of persisting in that regard. But I don't know
But
that many
but I also think it's pretty normal to go through those experiences. I think the story that is told, whether it being in graduate school or just at conferences, is that there's this kind of idealistic researcher that exists that's out there, but in general, that doesn't exist, right? The normalcy of what we go through is repetitive failure, going through a lot of um, just a lot of moments where you're like just doubtful. It's like, is this for me, right? So that I love the fact that you're open about talking about processing those moments of going through that, and how do
I can talk
you
about lots of those moments.
yeah, so
But
how do you get that? Is it just because you have this determination, you're just painfully stubborn, or
I'm
are
not,
you?
I think I like to think I'm persistent, but I'm not stubborn. So I learn. So I get a set of reviews and I look at, so what are commonalities in the negative feedback? And I assume that if it wasn't clear, it's because I wasn't clear enough.